Live from Hyper RPG Studios in beautiful downtown Seattle suburbs, this is the Battletech video game live Q&A from Harebrained Schemes, the name of the company that I remembered this time. My name is Mitch Gittleman. I run that company named Harebrained Schemes, and with me are the creators of that game. To my far left is, introduce yourself. I'll stop talking.
I'm Tyler Carpenter. I am a game designer on Harebrained Scheme, for Harebrained Schemes on Battletech. I also run Death from Above on Tuesdays and Fridays, soon to be Fridays only.
You will find him, by the way, on Battletechgame.com as HBS Adariel.
That is correct.
Right? Where he hangs out occasionally and answers questions. This guy over here will introduce himself now. It's going to be fun.
He will. I'm Mike McCain. I'm the game director on Battletech at the company known as Harebrained Schemes.
Thank you very much. And before that, by the way, Mike was the game director on our Shadowrun series, too. And then over on this side, the Sorbet woman. Sorbet. HBS Sorbet. Oh, by the way, Mike is also on BattletechGame.com, and his handle is HBS Drop Shadow. Because he's an artist. See what happened there? All right,
I didn't
Sorbet.
know that until yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was like, who is that? Oh, right.
My name is Kayla Freer. I'm a community manager over at HBS. I am on the forums as Birdie.
Birdie.
Not Sorbet.
No, Birdie.
And yeah, I tweet and stuff.
Tweeting stuff.
I read chat.
That's what your resume says. I tweeting stuff.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
totally tweet.
Let's get to the format of the show before we start. So this is all about, again, if you're just joining us or you don't know what the hell's going on, this is a Q&A about the Battletech game that we have in development at Harebrained Schemes right now, which will be coming out sometime next year. And what we do is we go to our forums and we ask the Order of Valhalla, a very elite group on our forums, to help us narrow down the subject matter for this show. And then we get a whole bunch of questions from the forums once we've got that. And I have them right here. So what we're going to do is this will be in 2 half-hour segments. The first half hour will be a bunch of questions from the forums. The second half hour will be right from chat. And Birdie has the chat stuff. What, Emily Rose?
Note to everybody in the room, these are podcast mics, so you need to get up close and personal.
Up close. All right, thank you
Well,
very
how
much.
do I be in frame and get up
Fancy new
close?
Technology. I like it.
There, fine.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. We have people for that. Ladies and gentlemen, people.
Oh, wait,
Anna.
look. Does anyone need this keyboard?
No.
Oh,
Look
good.
at that. Wow. Problem solved. Congratulations from what? Amoeba? Single-celled organism?
That's cruel when you think about it.
No, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm on the edge. Sorry.
It's just the best part of
I'll
this
be
show.
loud.
It's just
Don't
right.
have to care. All right. So, again, first half hour are questions that we got from our Battletech forums. And second half hour, right from you, from chat. Let us begin with professional show business. What's
That's
that?
because your
They
hair
like
is
your-
cool.
They
Hey,
like your-
Sorbet.
Oh, thank goodness you can get that direct feedback so quickly. Let's start. All right. The topic for the first half hour coming from the forums is all about vehicles in the new Battletech game that we are creating. So let's start, gentlemen, with the role of vehicles in Battletech. Why don't you just start us out, Tyler? Why are vehicles in Battletech? What role do they fill? Yada, yada.
So everybody who knows anything about Battletech knows that battle mechs are the kings of the battlefield. They're the game changers, the great suits of armor that empower nobility to conquer and defend their lands across the inner sphere and the periphery. Wow. But there are a lot of vehicle pilots out there, tank crews, VTOL gunners and pilots, people like that. And the role that those tanks and VTOLs and various other things fill on the battlefield is that of cheap firepower. Battle mechs are extremely expensive. It's hard to get a hold of them. They're very rarely manufactured. There's only a couple of places left in the inner sphere that do produce battle mechs. However, there are plenty of places that can churn out a tank or a truck with a missile launcher on it. And the idea is that you can field a mixed combined arms group with heavy hitting power of battle mechs that are very reliable and highly mobile across many types of terrain. And in the more wide open areas, you can have the tanks, the wheeled vehicles, the hovercraft, all of that to fill in the extra gaps with lots and lots of guns.
Wow. And they're cannon fodder because there's stuff to step on.
Yeah, you can kick them, you can smash them.
What you can't do is ignore them.
No, because they do pack the same kind of weapons that battle mechs have. Their primary disadvantage is that it's pretty easy to knock out their ability to get around, and sometimes there's a greater chance to lock up their turrets or damage their weapons, stun the crew, things like that.
But if you let an SRM carrier too close in our current prototype, it's bad news.
Yeah, and I expect that will be the same in the final version of the game too, because when you have that many SRM6s,
Transition.
no.
So, Mike, talk to us about the role of vehicles in the BattleTech game that we're making.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, it really is exactly that. Vehicles serve to allow asymmetric combat to take place on the battlefield and for your mechs and other mechs to feel special. They're the kings of the battlefield, as Tyler said. So we are seeking to use them primarily in two ways. One, as AI opponents. So again, we can, over the course of a single player mission, we can come up against a wide variety of vehicles, and some of them will pose more threats than others. And then secondarily, we also have the notion of support teams that you can hire or that your opponent can have. And that includes air support, long-range artillery, and other off-board resources that you can deploy during the game in a supporting role.
And you kind of skipped over that, but that was derived from a couple of forum people who asked those questions, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but you know what? I don't actually have their names on there. No, that's the next part when we talk about friendly vehicles specifically. So real fast, I want to know, how do you make mechs? This is a great question. How do you make mechs feel superior to all these cool tanks? I mean, some of those tanks, like the Manticores.
You compliment them a lot.
I'm glad
You're
that
the
you
biggest-
made the same terrible joke that I was like, God, I hope he makes a terrible joke.
really.
Like that.
You can count on me.
You're the champ. You're the best.
Positive reinforcement works wonders. guys.
Yeah, that's really good. You have a real answer now?
What was the question?
How do you make mechs feel superior to tanks when they're using the same weaponry?
Mechs are far more mobile. They can generally cover distance faster, and they're a lot more durable, and you get a lot more control over your facing. So you can outmaneuver and outlast most tanks. However, tanks can have firepower that's
Hello.
competitive.
Friend
to one
Computer
another.
welcomes a new thumper for science.
Hello, new thumper.
It's a
Welcome.
Goldwyn.
Hey.
Really? Welcome to the show.
Science.
For science. Let's get back to BattleTech now. Back to you, Mike. All right, now this question, great follow-up, comes from multiple people were asking about this, from both Sterling, hey Sterling, and Hawkeye, hey Hawkeye, see you all the time on the forums. Talk about friendly vehicles specifically. How will friendly vehicles appear in the game, and how will you actually deploy them?
They think you're creepy.
That's because I'm creepy.
Yes.
I don't understand. Guys, this is a Popeye moment for me. I am what I am.
They're
Oh.
like, Mitch,
So-
you are so creepy. I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, so be it. You meet my children. They'll tell you all about it. Keep going, Mike.
Yeah,
Friendly
so
vehicles.
we talked about support vehicles. You have your artillery off board. You've got air strikes that you can call in. As far as like, I've got a tank and I want to drive it. This is one of those things. Somebody around the office says focus equals quality a lot.
Somebody.
I don't know who. And
a
so
new
this
tattoo.
is something that we do really take to heart, and we've sort of our conscious approach from the Kickstarter and unwavering has been we're going to make a Lance-based mech game, just like the original box BattleTech set is Lance on Lance. Tanks came later, and so that's really where we've decided we want to draw our focus. And so the line we don't want to cross is allowing you to pilot a tank directly. You may have allied supporting tanks on the field. So if you have an AI partner or a client you're working with that says, we'll provide this tank battalion as support, that's maybe not a battalion, but that's all.
That'd be a lot of tanks.
Great. You got to zoom out just a little bit. But yeah.
That's all totally in the realm of what we're doing.
Right.
But at least in this game, we're going to focus on mech command and making that experience really shine. Which isn't to say that we don't think driving tanks around wouldn't be really cool, and that we don't think a larger scale war game wouldn't be really cool.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Maybe later.
Focus equals quality, and then we'll focus on the next thing, and we'll just add and build. Yep. Because we don't intend to stop with the first one. In success, all things are possible. Was that creepy? I don't care.
No, you did better. They're like,
All right, good.
they're defending you now.
So, what a shot. So, no vehicles will be directly under player control. That includes like things in escort missions or mobile HQs. None of that.
That's the current plan.
That's the current plan. All right. I'm just looking for specificity. See what I did there? And I used a vocabulary word with multiple syllables.
And I'm trying to appropriately caveat.
Well done. Tylor,
Yes.
will there be vehicles in PvP play?
Good question. We currently don't know the entire scope of what will be and won't be in PvP play, since we're focusing on the actual gameplay core itself with the combat vertical slice that we're working on and the prototype. But since one of the things that we want to do in PvP is have not just death matches, but objective-based gameplay, it's very possible that we'll have support vehicles on your side, on the other side, or even as a third party that can interfere with the battlefield while two lances of mechs duke it out. But in all cases, they would be AI controlled. They would not be things that you drive yourself.
Again, even in PvP, no direct control. And so then that goes right to a skirmish mode also.
Skirmish mode, the AI is going to be everybody that's not your lance of mechs.
Because if you're going to do it in one mode, well, you've already done the work for all the modes. And let's face it, that's a lot of work anyway. Right? And there's probably cascading little features that you have to do for each mode. Yes, I hit my microphone again. Back off, people. Right?
Quick question. People are kind of curious as to what vertical slice actually is. Like
that's a great question.
Quick, dirty.
That was an inside baseball term, vertical slice. McCain will tell you all about vertical slice right now.
I will. Vertical slice is a slightly loaded term in game development.
Yes.
So what we're currently working on is a combat vertical slice, and we see that as we've built our entire core combat game, answered the highest level questions that we need to answer with it, and demonstrated not quite like a one of each mentality of assets, but
that's where the word vertical comes in.
Yeah, right? Vertical is like, well, we got one of each of everything in the game, and now we got to build more. It's an oversimplified approach.
If you've got like geology, it's like taking a slice of rock and going, what are all the various layers that we need to understand how they work together? Strata, yes.
Thank you. I went to high school.
I hope you did.
I graduated from high school. Thanks to Emily's
problem
mother.
is game development happens over time, so lower, softer strata of rock erode faster, and then you get all sorts of...
I think you're pushing it.
You are obfuscating the issue. Anyway, the whole idea is if you make one of everything, now you know how to make one of everything. You know the process for making one of everything, and you can also extrapolate the timeline for how you're going to produce that in the future.
So we're trying to start at the core. That's obviously combat for a Battletech game, and then we will be expanding outwards from that later this summer. And with a little bit of luck, we will have some results to share of that combat vertical slice milestone later this summer as well.
Ooh, maybe. Ooh, nice tease, Mike. I want to let that
I aim
sit
to
for yeah, that was good.
And
I just
creepy moment.
anticipation. Okay, so next question, important question, right? If you're a Battletech fan, this is one you want to know. What vehicles will actually be in the game? And to answer that question, Joe should have a graphic to put up. Am I correct, Joe?
He should have it.
Yay!
He totally has it.
Is it up now, Joe? Because we can't see anything. All right, so now you know the answer. It's the stuff that's on screen. Actually, I don't. Oh, wait, here's the answer.
No,
Here.
you have the list. You totally have
Mike will tell you all about it.
Yeah, so this is kind of our V1 roster. We see it as sort of a minimum set. We'd love to add more, but as I said a minute ago, our approach is to sort of scale from here's a basis of stuff, and then add to that. So we've tried to pick vehicles in the 30-25 time period that see fairly widespread use and that cover a range of battlefield utilities. So we've got the Swift Wind Scout Car, Wheeled APC, Striker Light Tank, Long Tom Artillery, the J. Edgar
Don't
Hover
punch
tank.
your
Hover
enthusiasm.
Tank.
Yeah, well, over 30 years, different hands have touched Battletech, and occasionally somebody with a sense of humor.
If you're gonna have a hover, it better be J. Edgar. I'm just saying.
LRM and SRM characters, Scorpion carriers, Scorpion Light Tank,
Nice.
Manticore Heavy Tank, and
Ouch.
Demolisher Heavy Tank.
Demolisher. Jeez.
Dual AC-20s.
That is a mech buster, I believe we call it. And by the way, I believe there's also art they're seeing. They're seeing like some concept art for tanks. Mike, is there anything you can tell us about that concept art?
Sure, yeah. We've actually got Dwayne Luce was one of the original vehicles.
Dwayne Luce?
And mech designers of Battletech almost 30 years ago, and he's been kind enough to revisit the world with all the visual design skills that he's accumulated in the meantime. And so he's had the opportunity to refresh some of these vehicle designs for us. We'll be sharing some more of those, I want to say in about a month, but I forget the schedule, in our next Kickstarter update. But we thought we'd give you a sneak peek today as well. And we've
I'm
also
totally
got,
making a note.
I
Next
believe,
month. Yeah.
on it. It's fuzzy.
It's noted. It's too late.
Yep.
And you committed
I
to a ship
believe-
date and everything. Go ahead. keep
Yeah. We're also looking at an actual in-game model that Maury Weiss has completed. He's one of our he's our lead 3D artist, and he made a really sweet 3D model of the Striker that's actually in the game now.
And we're looking at it right now, Joe.
You're just trolling Joe at this point.
Yeah, we
Trolling
had
Joe.
a single JPEG image
All
that
right.
listed them all out, and it had
Yeah.
a little bit of concept stuff on it. So.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
the one.
yeah, that's right.
That's
Got
right.
it.
Dwayne Luce is a big deal, right? If you know Battletech at all and you get that cool Battletech TRO aesthetic, I just think it's really cool that you guys were able to bring him back. So kudos on that. Yeah, I hit my
Kudos
microphone
to Jordan
again.
on that.
Kudos to Jordan. All right, so let's give Jordan Weissman, the creator of Battletech, a little credit in a moment of silence. That's enough. All right. You said, this comes from Dav, by the way. Hey, Dav, how you doing? You said you wanted to stay true to the lore characteristics of the mech in our game, in the mechs, right? Do you plan to stay true to the lore of the vehicles in the game? Tyler, take that one.
Yep, we're taking the vehicles right out of the technical readouts. The variants that exist in 3025 are the ones that are available. There may be individually customized vehicles for particular individuals in story missions, but for 99% of the time, it's going to be like if you're facing a Condor hover tank that's from the Capellan Confederation, it's probably going to be the 4 medium laser variant.
Okay, fair enough. Now, that begs the question, are they only stock or can I modify those vehicles?
Well, when you're hiring a tank, you're not buying a tank. You're hiring a tank and the crew. So you don't have the ability to modify their equipment. You're simply paying them to back you up for a certain period of time. And as long as you keep paying them, you can continue to have their services, but they have final say about what's on their vehicle. And because it's not a mech, it's not going to be in the mech lab.
Right. And because this is a Lance combat game.
Yeah, we're going to be
right?
focusing on the mechs and not fiddling with tracked vehicles.
Well, that's just another focus equals quality thing.
I've
isn't
got to let you say that every time.
it? I
though.
know,
That's
but
the
where's
way
your
it is.
tattoo?
What's that?
Your tattoo.
Of
Focus equals quality tattoo.
I don't have that one. I have Ad Astra.
right, we're gonna do
Quad.
I
another
can't
one of
show
the-
it in public.
Oh, yes, you can. Right. This is age gated after all. So, listen, we have a month before our next Q&A. That is plenty of time to get a tattoo. Focus equals quality. I tell you what, Harebrained Schemes will pay for your tattoo.
Oh my god.
So here's the thing, though. I think that's a pretty high distraction cost trying to figure out like what the tattoo should look like. So maybe we should focus on making the game.
Oh.
Because focus.
He's
equals
getting
quality.
sassy.
So, all right, I challenge chat to come up
I've
with
had like
a
no
tattoo.
sleep, so
Okay.
we can do this all day.
No, this is resource management, Paul. All we have to do is take it off the dev team's task list to create that tattoo, and all he has to do then is go in for like an hour and get the tattoo.
Oh, that's
made.
true. Yeah,
See?
I like this
All
a
right,
lot
there we
better.
go. Delegation,
Yeah.
Mike. What did we talk about? What
it's
did we talk? Command and control, Mike. Command and control.
It would be a chance to catch up with the number of tattoos on my wife.
I'll make the forum thread so that
Thank you.
the
Would you
users
please?
can
We'll follow up
submit.
on that.
Tyler's body is
Options.
really just the canvas here.
Oh, and his body is also a wonderland. I just want to get that out of the way.
Now
too.
I'm creeped out. Good God.
That's like 3 or 4 instances.
Then I have done my job.
That's all him.
We could talk about Battletech all you want, or we could have some fun. Or, all right, what if we combine these two and did both? Next question comes from Sigil. Sigil asks, and hey, Sigil, how you doing? Do you plan on implementing the tabletop motive system damage table and vehicle-specific crit chart? Tyler, back to you.
Okay, as much as I love the charts for making vehicles have terrible things happen to them, we're not going to go for a 1-to-1 table simply because our math doesn't work in the same way that the tabletop works, because 2d6 has pretty large chunks in terms of what happens in it, and we'd like to have a bit finer control. That said, we are trying to capture the spirit of the idea that tanks, wheeled vehicles, and especially hovercraft are pretty easy to knock out of being able to move or at least reduce their speed. So we will be looking into how to make that feel right over the next couple of months.
All right, but what about ammo explosion, crit chances?
Oh, there's going to be crits on vehicles. I can't say exactly how they're going to work, but you're going to be able to blow up vehicles and have, giant
As long as
gouts
I
of
can
flame.
crit 'em, I'm
Yeah, that's. I think the current record for vehicles before a Lance got taken out was 12 big tanks against a Lance when Kevin McGinn was playing.
Yeah, and we hope to have Kevin on here. He's the lead designer of Battletech. In the future, he can't make it right now. We'll tell you why some other time. Sorry, Kevin. Okay. Back to Mendrugo asks, What advantages and disadvantages do you plan on implementing for the various motive types? In other words, wheeled, hovercraft, tracked, et cetera, instead of speed in terms of speed and terrain. So
Yeah.
the different vehicle interacting with different terrain. Are we going to have that, or is it one size fits all?
No, there's definitely going to be different effects that terrain have on different vehicles. That's something that we're going to have to tune in terms of each class of vehicle will have its own math for how entering a forest will work or entering rough ground, what kind of speed boost they might get by driving on a road. Obviously, hovercraft should be able to go over water, whereas tracked.
Yeah, but the question is, do hovercraft slide when they miss their movement rolls and stuff?
That's
like
a
that?
lot of complicated math for people that do our turning radiuses and figure out how those splines will work in the game. And I'm not good at math because math is hard. I will go.
Everybody
shopping
knows
instead.
that. Everybody, STEM is.
It's a
just
few steps
ridiculous.
ahead. So we get
the-
vehicles moving, we get them moving different ways.
Yeah,
If
we
things
want 'em to
like
feel
sliding or a fun little twist on that.
Same
then-
thing with like a bootlegger reverse, stuff like that.
I
is
would
it?
I would love to see that. Yeah, so you get a hotshot pilot and a really fast hovercraft. I want to see him be like slide backwards and then jet the other direction. That'd be sweet.
I want to do that in a
That's
Lincoln
such
Town
like
car.
an artistic explanation of it. I just want to like slide around and have him just like.
It's gonna be great.
Anyways.
Page 3. This one is for Mike.
Hey!
Just want to warn you right now. Get your thinking cap on. This came from Havamal and Just In Case. And the question is, where do vehicles fall in the initiative turn order, right? Because why don't we just review real fast the initiative turn order very briefly, like just bullet point how that works, and then tell.
Yes. So the initiative order, we've got a Kickstarter update that we put out about a month ago on it. So if you want the full scoop, highly recommend heading to our Kickstarter page. It should be, I think it was the most recent update.
It is the most recent update.
So it should be
yes.
right there. High level is initiative starts at essentially light mechs and then descends from there. So shall you explain?
Light mechs go, medium mechs go, heavy mechs go, assault mechs go.
You alternate between
Yeah, and so
effects.
it's like if Kayla and I were playing and we all had light mechs, I'd go, then she'd go, then I'd go, then she'd go until we did exhaust
That's
ourselves.
like assuming way too many turns. I'd like get knocked.
No, you're
out.
dead on
Yeah,
round
like,
one. But
me
in
and
theory,
Tyler.
this is what
Yeah.
happens.
You can delay your action until a later phase, and vehicles will go on the turn order that is one after their equivalent mech weight class. So a light vehicle will go in a medium mechs phase.
Is our
during all
current
of that.
thinking.
Yeah, just to represent the fact that mechs, although they are slow and ponderous, have a lot more nimble types of movement that they can do than a tank. Tanks can go fast and they can turn on a dime if they're stopped, but it's kind of hard to get them to sort of like peek around a corner and then whip back
Juke.
around. Yeah,
Juke.
juking a tank is hard.
Right. That's why the mechs are bipedal.
Yep.
See that? That's another vocabulary word. from
I'm
high school.
learning.
Thank you. Now, Mike, back to you. Oh, never mind. He answered the question for you. You just abdicated that.
Yeah, that he
Completely.
did.
I might give you another question right now.
It's complicated to explain.
Mike, this one comes from Insaniac99. Insaniac99.
Nice.
What effect will cover have on vehicles?
Yeah, so stepping back to line of sight in general there, we have a fairly accurate system to determine whether you have shooting line of sight to a target or not.
Because it's a 3D game.
Yeah, so, we draw a bunch of arrays, we figure that out. We also figure out
like technical
if you have a shooting line of sight, if it is partially obstructed or not. And then if it is partially obstructed, we apply modifiers. If you have a shooting line of sight, you can shoot any weapon that's within range. So we're not doing high mounts or low mounts. So we're not calculating each individual weapon's ability to hit. We're determining a line of sight state for you and your target, and then allowing you to shoot if you pass that check.
Okay, fair enough. All right, now we've gotten out of combat per se for a moment, and the questions about who runs vehicles and stuff like that. Now let's talk about sort of the whole campaign and how you're playing a mercenary in our BattleTech game, battletechgames.com, and the question then becomes, how do vehicles work within the economy? That's actually to you, Mike.
No.
For example, destroyed Allied tanks. Do they come out of the paycheck and all that? Your P&L,
our goal,
your profit and loss statement.
Mechs are more expensive, obviously. You'll have to pay to bring on a like an artillery crew, for example, you would pay both the initial cost and the upkeep cost of having an artillery crew and their hardware on your team. Artillery is not going to get like destroyed usually because it's way in the back. So for the most part, your sort of ablative economy is focused on your mechs, but you'll have to pay these additional costs for the support units that you want to bring to bear.
I'll accept that. I have no choice.
What would you do if you didn't accept it? You'd be like, unacceptable, back to the drawing board.
We would have an offline conversation, I believe that's what that's called, but that's not the way we roll at Harebrained Schemes.
It's possible that if you're for a particular mission, if you lose allied vehicles, we could penalize that, but that would be on a mission to mission objective basis. So that would be the premise is defend as many of the APCs as you can or whatever, and then there's a financial consequence to the destruction of those vehicles.
Financial consequences. The game. It's the story of my life. It's the story of Harebrained Schemes. Financial
really
consequences, the spreadsheet.
A really complicated and even more boring version of Monopoly.
Oh, good times.
Oh, boy.
By the way, in Monopoly, if you actually play by the written rules...
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
It's a very different game.
No, it's designed to be a cautionary tale about capitalism.
I actually
Noted.
played it by the rules.
Yeah?
Like a
You
couple
found it
weeks
to be
ago. It was
cautionary.
absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Kayla Birdie, I just want to know how much time do we has elapsed? How much time do we have left?
I
It's right
have
there
no
in the
idea.
little thing right over there.
Green thing.
Green thing at the bottom.
It is 2:26.
Ah.
All right, we have our final question from the forums. That would be battletechgame.com forums. Before we go to your questions in chat, so you get ready because I'm going to ask a question.
I have to get ready?
You have to get ready.
Okay,
See,
okay.
you're going to earn your money now. Here it comes. It's not just by making your hair look like that. Tyler, to you. Oh, too late. Too late. Oh, one step too far. All right. What are the chances of distinct pilots or crews for vehicles? Is it possible to have an NPC like Mandy from Death from Above so she can get killed?
While we
right?
are unsure of the level of interaction that you will have with your hired crews, as I said before, you are not buying a tank, you are hiring a tank crew. I find it likely that there will be brief biographies of the people that you are paying if they are interesting enough to warrant a paragraph or two. Because if you think that there's going to be hover tanks and no Captain Florian, you are crazy people. Because she will roll around Condor's 3026.
3026.
Well, 3025, but we'll
All
get
right.
to 3026.
Thank you very much for the questions from the forums. We really appreciate it. We hope we gave the appropriate shouts out. If we didn't, I apologize in advance. That's actually sincere regardless of how I said it. Okay, now we are going to your questions from chat, and Kayla and I are going to try and suss out what those are. Kayla, are you ready?
Most days.
All right, let's see what happens.
This one's more of a general question. It's like, what spec of computer is required to play the prototype?
Oh.
Will this game run on a tablet?
So
No.
This is not a tablet game.
Sorry, that's a business question. I'll just take that one. No. We are making a PC game.
the prototype is a quick and dirty prototype, so its performance really has no bearing on where our final system requirements
Right.
will land. I expect them to be, we're coming out about a year from now. It's not going to be crazy. It's a Unity game.
It will require a moderate specification.
Moderate is a great
And
word.
you can define moderate for
You know
me.
what a lot of business people, let's pretend like me, do is they say, we want to support computers that were manufactured in 2012 or above, something like that, right? And one day we'll think about that, but not this day.
Got to spend a lot of time optimizing it anyway.
Yeah.
So a couple questions are coming up. Are infantry being used in the game or
Oh
no?
my God, we glossed over infantry completely.
What will be
Infantry
their
are
roles?
still in the TBD category. It's something, again, like vehicles, sounds pretty cool. There's some additional art exploration that has to happen because it represents a more complex amount of work to represent good-looking infantry on the board. And then I think there's also some design consideration that should happen there after we've got the basics of mech and vehicle combat and terrain movement working.
I will quote our creative director, who shall remain nameless. Infantry is a solid maybe.
And
Yes.
there's a great way of thinking about that, though. It's like we are absolutely exploring infantry, and if it'll work, great.
Yep.
And if for some reason it can't work, or it can't work because of production or whatever, then it won't. But we're actively exploring it, right? Because if it's cool, it's in,
Yeah.
right? All right.
Okay, this one's kind of a two-part, and I'm making it two-part because I want it to be two-part.
No, I think
Okay.
floor's yours. Go ahead.
The first part is, will Tyler appear as a shady employer in game complete with cream suit?
Bravo. We have got concept art with pocket squares.
That is fantastic. I love his
Start,
pocket
right?
squares.
By the way, you need to fluff out a little bit there.
Sure.
And
Is that wrong?
the second part, the
Very
segue,
nice. Yeah.
is does the player themselves have an avatar representation in game
Oh.
such that maybe, and it keeps on like jumping on me,
Yeah,
such
Yeah. But yeah, we know what an avatar is, and
Yeah.
absolutely committed to it during the Kickstarter. Mike?
Yes, you will be able to create your own commander avatar using our Mech Warrior customization system. So choose your appearance, hair color, some limited set of like uniform or Mech Warrior outfit choices, and then you'll also be customizing a sigil for your company.
How about, gender and skin color?
Yes.
Okay, just want to get that out of the way.
Okay, it says hover tanks fly safely over landmines in real life. Will there be landmines in the game, and will that fact be true in the game?
This is still a TBD sort of circumstance with landmines. They fall under that sort of secondary commander ability that we may give you or enemy commanders as a thing to deploy, much like air support. And even within Battletech's tabletop rules, hovercraft can go over normal mines, but there are active mines where spotters can set them off because they've seen.
I've done that.
Yeah, well, they've seen the hovercraft go across it. And how we implement this is definitely still to be determined. But the answer is whatever is most fun is what we're going to do.
Yeah, that may sound
A
odd.
solid maybe.
Yeah, another solid maybe. But, a lot of times, especially on the forums, you'll see in the Ask the Devs forum, subforum, what you'll find is a lot of times HBS Thrachin, who's Kevin McGinn, our lead designer, or me often, will say, don't know yet, too early to tell, stuff like that. That's not us being secretive. The truth is we don't know yet, or we haven't gotten there yet, because one of the things you need to know about game development is a lot of times people try and design the entire game. And once upon a time, when I was a young game developer, you would make these tomes. You should see
Wait,
the
there was
Crimson
a
Skies
time?
book. Yes. Oh, yeah. I've traveled through time now. Yes? Right? And you used to create these giant design docs that were instantly wrong the minute you wrote them. And we don't do that anymore. Now, especially the way Mike's running the project, which I appreciate very much and am paying him for, right? It's a very staged, methodical approach. Learn one thing, with your sights on the next thing, but learn that thing and build on a solid foundation. And that's how you ship games, and ship games, relatively on time.
to give you some further insight on that, it's like I'm currently spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to make all of the weapons work right inside a 3D world that doesn't use explicit hexes. But that's really a secondary concern to how do we create a map that feels right, that you can move around in a way that feels valuable and fun. So it's like you have to do how do I make a map with things being the right size and the right scale before you can go, well, how far really should those shoot? Is the tabletop numerical value for LRM maximum range the right answer, or is it a little too long, a little too short, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, versus the map sizes
Yeah.
that we can put
Because we make
on
maps
screen
that are a hell of a lot
versus
bigger
the one
than
that come in the box.
Yeah, the boxed one is way small. I'd say
Way
that's like
small.
1/30th the size of the last map that I made.
Yeah. Did you want to add something, Mike?
I guess just that like landmines is a great example of something that is a very interesting modifier to a core gameplay loop, but I don't think anyone would say, well, landmines existing is part of the core combat loop. And so one of the things we look at is once we have combat working in its most basic way, with things like
And
the
fun.
terrain size and it's fun and weapons are performing the way we want them to, then it's like, well, there's an almost infinite number of things you can do to add to or modify that core loop. And you want to add enough that it stays interesting over the time of the game, but more is only better to a point. So when we get to that point, the question isn't, are landmines cool? It's,
Or do
are
they
they
exist?
cool enough to be cooler than this other thing? Or is the sum total of all these things the right amount of modifiers and additional features to include in the game?
It's not just about volume, I hear. Okay.
There was a few questions in the chat, and they were kind of all revolving around this idea of would vehicles be able to influence the legs of the mech in a way to knock the mechs over?
Ah!
Who's taking that?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want
I
it?
don't know
You
yet.
want it?
That's all you know?
No,
That's my answer.
Oh yeah, well we're working on a system of stability where
Okay.
various weapon attacks or maneuvers will impart instability to a mech, and the pilot's piloting skill is what is counteracting that level of instability. And the higher the instability, the greater the chance that the mech goes down on a knee, falls over, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't developed the entirety of the system yet, but definitely there is a notion that if you ram into something or shoot its legs, bad things will happen to its ability to remain stable. Because I don't know about you, but getting hit in the knees makes me want to fall over.
Makes me want to cry.
Not me. I just decide to
Specifics
fly.
about like how vehicle tank melee or if that ramming functions in a different way or not. That's the part that we haven't gotten to. I think step one is mech on mech melee combat.
Yeah.
We do want to be able to stomp vehicles though, because
Of course you want to stomp vehicles. Because you're making a battle mech game. All right, what else we got here?
So there's some questions about they are AI operated vehicles, but is there any influence players can have on that AI? For example, simple targeting in the sense of I want you guys focused here, I want you over here. Simple stuff.
it's not off the table, but I think first prize is that when there are allied vehicles on the board, they behave intelligently, and it works. And I think any more degree of control or constraints would be in reaction to testing.
I could see a place for a focus fire command where it will bias your support vehicles towards shooting at a particular target. But this is, again, why we have paid a lot of money to our resident numerical wizard, who is our AI engineer, who operates on a level of mathematics and computer science that is far beyond my ability to even comprehend.
Yeah, it made for a great interview, by the way. But as an executive producer, I'll also tell you, besides focus equals quality, there's a word we like to use, or a term we like to use, Mike and I especially, called slippery slope. Right? If you take one step in that direction, all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a minute, we could do this and this and this and this, and shouldn't we? We did this. Can't we go one step more and then one step more? And then all of a sudden you're down the rabbit hole. So you got to be very careful of that, because this is death by 1,000 cuts. You do one little thing here, one little thing in here, and all of a sudden you've slipped your release date by a year.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right? Or the complexity of what you're making exponentially. And now every decision you make goes through this weird lattice work of downstream decisions.
Okay, so next question I have here is more of like this hypothetical. How do you guys foresee the art for the animation of the falls of the mechs? As it says, an important part of battle, it seems like they should be more detailed in animation than, say, Shadowrun.
Ouch.
Okay, I think that we could say our animations will be of a higher fidelity in many cases than Shadowrun.
We have a much better system in place, and we are doing some previs, essentially concept art of fall down and that sort of thing right now. I think there's a category of action that is really impactful on the battlefield. It is melee attacks in general, obviously things like death from above. When a mech falls down, that's a pretty big event. And when a mech gets destroyed, that's a pretty big event. So we're looking at ways that we can present those in a cool way.
You haven't lived until you see the previs animation of an Atlas kicking a commando in the face and watching it fly backwards.
I saw that too. That was pretty hot.
Okay.
And just remember, as we do this, don't necessarily compare to Shadowrun, because that's a completely
Wildly
different
different.
system. We have evolved as game developers too, and that's one of the great things about having this continuing game development company. Unlike movies, where a lot of people just sort of split up and come back together, we stay together, so everybody's learning together, and our systems are growing, our tools are growing, and our people are growing at the same time.
There was some other great questions about Battletech, but I read this one, and you guys got to answer it for me.
Oh, we got it.
Is there a way for us to get a Schwarzenegger DeVito twin montage where Tyler takes Mitch to buy a suit?
Yes. Yes. We're doing that. As a matter of fact, we're going to periscope it. Okay. No,
This
that's gotta
pleases
happen.
me. I needed an answer to that
I
question.
am not the most sartorial of men.
Does a player's personal avatar have the ability to be a pilot, or perhaps have some skill sets to choose from, such as a mechanical background or
All right,
financier?
so let's step back from that and saying, number one, will your character be on the battlefield ever.
Yeah. So our current plan is that yes, you are a mech warrior. That's how you command the team. You may or may not be on the field. You can choose to deploy your commander character as you will. You'll also gain ability over time, like any other mech warrior, and incur injury and at times severe injury, but not permanent death. Depending on the outcome.
So you could take yourself out of the battle and have to put in a lance commander on the field.
I don't know about the second part of that. We're abstracting the actual command layer a little bit, like where that's the player. So even if your character on the field was incapacitated, you would continue commanding as the player.
All right. That sounds cool.
Maybe there's the fiction there is your second took over or whatever, but
and
the
again,
mechanics is you continue to
You lead from the front, if you want to.
Oh, look at that. Lead from the front.
Heyo.
We'll talk more about that at another time. Go ahead.
I'm seeing, will there be ammo resource management in the larger story of the game? So in long campaign battles, mechs with energy weapons start to show their worth.
I believe that the current plan is that ammo does incur a cost, and I do not recall the entirety of the plans for multi-battle things contracts on a planet. But from the little that I do recall, I believe that was a plan of record as of a month and a half ago. But I would need to check with Mr. McGinn. Again.
What about different types of ammo?
Our current notion is that you're not going to fiddle with different types of ammo,
Okay.
with the possible exception of Inferno SRMs, and that's possible exception. But you're not gonna have to worry about messing with heat ammo in your autocannons versus flechette ammo and
That's
switching
what
on
I'm
the
asking,
fly.
yeah.
No, it's an autocannon 10. It shoots autocannon 10 rounds, and it will put autocannon 10 rounds in your face.
And maybe one day, if it's fun, we might add that someday in the future.
Yeah.
But in
We
this
do want to
first-
have different weapon variants, though.
Yeah.
So you can find an AC-20 that performs a little differently or has a
The various
special property.
The various manufacturers of the Inner Sphere do make slightly different flavors of weapons that have the same designation.
Yeah, it's too bad we're too early for LBX ammo.
I know, I would really like it too,
But
but
eventually,
someday.
because
Also never say never, because there are Lost Tech Starleague era versions of these pieces of equipment floating around, and they're very, very rare, but with success, all things are possible. But also with luck, certain things are possible.
oh, look at that. That's another tattoo, by the way. Okay.
So this one is like a multiple step question, so bear with me. It says, will vehicles explode when destroyed? If vehicles explode, will the explosion damage things around them, such as other vehicles,
splash
buildings,
damage.
or
That's
landscape
either done
effects?
sale or that's Prussian havoc, because I read that question earlier today.
All right. The answer is
The answer is we don't know how the explosions will work, and we're pretty sure that AoE damage from explosions will not occur, simply because that means meleeing a mech is a really bad idea. And we don't want to make punching another mech a bad idea. We want to make it an awesome idea.
But area effect damage is possible. in the
Yes,
game.
it's just
in
not
other
some-
ways.
In other ways, yeah. Okay.
Airstrikes, artillery, etc.,
All right, that's it. And therefore, what I just heard was, do not expect mechs in our game to stack pole.
No, definitely not. With the exception of the one piloted by Mech Commander Stackpole, if such a thing could exist. But that's
Such a thing can exist. We have it within our power.
He's got 1 point of armor everywhere and like 99 tons of explosives inside of him.
If the shoe fits. And if you do want stack polling, if you're into that kind of thing, play the Mech Assault games. Okay.
Will there be skirmish-like missions for unlimited replay, or will it be only a campaign?
Oh.
We are going to have a separate skirmish mode. It'll essentially function like multiplayer against an AI opponent. So you'll be able to customize, so the campaign, will be strict progression, and you will have to grow your career and gain access to different mechs and weapons and mech warriors and so forth. We view skirmish mode as a sandbox, so all the mechs will be there, and you can do whatever you want.
That said, to reiterate how we're doing the campaign mode, there is a campaign, and inside the campaign there is a story, and when the story ends, you can keep playing the campaign. In fact, when you play the campaign and the story shows up, you can feel free to ignore the story entirely and just be like, nah, I'm going to be a freelance mercenary and just not engage with this. And that is still a possibility.
Wow. The power's in your hands. Before we
And
go
I'm
on.
going to slap mics.
So that's
Bam.
that skirmish mode thing that you were just talking about. You'll find that and a lot of more data on our Kickstarter page. So that's kickstarter.com/battle. Harebrained Scheme. I don't know. Look it up.
If you
but
look up
there's a lot of
Battletech
data.
Kickstarter, it'll be the one that you
Yeah.
find.
Yeah, probably so. Take a look. So we detail that. We detail PvP and other things like that.
So this question has a little bit of undercurrent like passion to it. So
Oh, we're not. Wait. That never happens in BattleTech. Keep going.
never ever.
Nor Shadowrun either.
So do your best to answer this. It says, how will you manage to have allied AI controlled vehicles not doing their damnedest to destroy your strategies?
It comes from good AI. It's like, how will you do that? By hiring the right guy. There's no good answer. I've done AI in many games, including mech games. I designed the AI in the Mech Commander series, by the way, which is why it's what it is.
I think it shows that I've been thinking about AI a lot, given
Yeah.
that last night I had a dream that we had hired a bunch of Japanese game designers
Oh.
to make a joint game.
I read that.
And I had to design a war game AI system with Hideki Kamiya of Platinum
That's
Games.
too bad.
And I was like, I don't know anything about this. Where's Dave?
So how will you manage to do that? Of course, that is a passionate question. What you're saying is, you morons, what makes you think you can? And the answer, right? Well, that's what
That's
it is,
the
right?
gist of
And
it.
that's okay. So let's call a spade. And the answer is because we hire smart people and just watch.
Next question. Do you have a list of basic mechs to start the game, or is it a set of mechs that are automatically at start?
Oh, so in other words, the player comes with, you get, your fire starter, your
Oh,
levels,
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Have you determined that yet, guys?
So I don't think we've determined the starting lance, but we have determined the starting player's mech, and I know that if you want to reveal it.
No.
Okay.
No, you can suck it.
It-
I meant, wait, please.
there is a single mech that we have determined you will start with in the first mission that tutorializes it, but I don't believe have decided what the other ones will
All
be.
right. Well, if we get to let's just say 1,500 subscribers on Hyper RPG.
Hey,
maybe
there you go.
maybe we'll
Get
reveal that.
1,500 subscribers. I will tell you all about it.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. All right. What else we got? We
Mitch?
have 5 minutes left, by the way, guys.
Mitch, what do you really have in that coffee cup?
That is actually coffee and cream.
Final answer?
Final
What
answer.
kind of?
Okay.
Whatever was sitting here when I walked in. It was mud, by the way, so Emily made it.
Ooh.
And no, I mean that as a positive thing. The Gittlemans, and by
Yeah,
the way,
the
tune in
sludge coffee.
Friday for Rabbi Stew, when that's Gittlemania. That's where Emily and I will be co-hosting Rabbi Stew. So anyway, she makes muddy coffee because that's the way we drink it.
This one's a bit open-ended, and that's the reason I wanted to give it to you guys, because I think you'll be able to, BS for about 5 minutes about this. The question is, what is the coolest thing you've been able to add that you never thought you would be able to add?
I'm guessing nothing.
I don't know about coolest, but one thing that we have been talking about recently that's really interesting is just how does visibility and fog of war and information come into play, because that's not something that you really get in a tabletop experience, because you can't really hide the figure on the board from your opponent, and so that's something that certainly adds to the nature of the game. In a
Can you be more specific at all of what your exploration?
I mean, we're looking at, are there different sight distances? Is that a trait of your mech warrior, essentially? Or is there a difference between, like, I have intel on this terrain versus I don't? That sort of thing.
Versus
and also
maybe the
just,
height of your mech?
less, I'd say more skill-based, less height-based.
Okay.
Height will indirectly affect your total ability to LOS.
Yes.
So will
But not necessarily your visibility distance. Huh?
right.
All right. Interesting.
Okay, this is the last question, and
This
then you
is the
guys
last
should,
question.
Then you guys should wrap it up. The
last
question is,
question.
how far can the mech company travel in the inner sphere? Will it be stuck in the periphery, or will it be able to travel through the space of all the houses?
Or
So-
space and time. Can you go to Gallifrey?
We will be in the rimward reaches of the periphery. It's not totally fixed, like what the area of travel during the story campaign will be. It will be limited. One of the things about Battletech is it's a really, really, really big world. It's like the Earth in the Age of Sail. So it takes a long time. And we're not looking to show you, like, making a 2-year journey to the other side of the inner sphere. And so we're trying to focus the right side.
And you can die of dysentery on the way. That would be awesome.
it is.
You have to hire new oxen.
Tyler died of dysentery.
I usually die of yellow fever, honestly.
I almost did last episode of Death from Above. But anyway.
Yeah, there is a section of the periphery and the inner sphere that we will be containing the game within, simply because the requirements to have interesting things and meaningful interactions with the rest of the inner sphere is not something that is within the scope of the game that we are making as far
Why
as the
can't
story.
we just put everything in a game?
Because focus equals quality. Also,
Tattoo. I'm making that
This
thread,
is the
guys.
world's greatest job. This is it.
but there are plenty of opportunities to visit inner sphere systems as well as periphery systems that are both unaligned or aligned with outer rim forces such as the Taurian Concordat or the Magistracy of Canopus.
And to have relationships with the great houses of the inner sphere.
Even if you
each
can't
house,
travel there.
Yeah, each house has a liaison in this part of space, and then that's someone that you could be taking contracts from and build a rapport with.
All right, fair enough. That was it, right?
Question for Tyler.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Your tattoo, would you rather it be black and white coloring or some color in there?
That would depend on the motif if it was color or the motif if it was black and white.
It's a form follows function.
Well, I've got one that's entirely red, I have one that's entirely black, and I have one that's quite colorful. So
I didn't realize they were giving him a say in the matter.
I didn't realize
I
that he
think
had that many
first
tattoos.
off,
most people don't.
yeah.
I shocked the hell out of
So
Cassidy.
clean cut and stuff.
Like when the weather started to warm up last year, I took off my jacket and Cassidy was like, "Oh my God, you've got tattoos!"
Actually, a lot of
took off
harebrained
your
schemes is
jacket?
like that. As it warms up in the studio, you learn a lot about people. So, all right.
especially when
I
your air
think
conditioning is
this
broken.
is a very important place to stop it before an HR violation happens.
It's 2:51 right now, so we got
Oh, we do.
We
Oh,
got-
so that final question.
that
thing.
final question was, it was kind of like a idea of wrapping it up.
Oh, I like
Oh,
that.
right.
To talk about Tyler's tattoo designs.
I don't think so. So let's go this way. Just so that you know, just to make sure, we do this once a month, second Wednesday of every month. And we'll have a Kickstarter update, by the way, coming out very shortly. And the topic of that, I'm happy to tell you, is all about, if you're a Kickstarter backer, your Kickstarter rewards and what the status is of
They're
that.
sweet.
I've worn them today.
I did too.
Today. Okay? Not bad. It looks great with the aviators, by the way. Right? So that was really cool. Closing comments before we go. Let's start with you, Caleb Bird.
Yeah. That was
You
fun.
like working in Hairbrain Schemes? What do you think?
Hairbrain Schemes is pretty good. It's pretty classy.
Kayla's new here, and she's sort of like, whoa, what the hell did I get into? The interview didn't go two-way quite enough, and she's still trying to figure out if this is a place she wants to live.
No, more like, how did this happen? Like, this is like unicorn land, and everything's
Yeah.
happy and imaginary,
Really?
and yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's scary as hell.
Not as scary as you
Tyler?
sometimes.
Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of fun making a lot of maps and exploring a lot of biomes because as days go by, more and more people are creating the tools for me that I need to craft awesome stuff. And seeing the NPCs that I have spec'd out and gone, I want somebody like this, and this, and this.
Oh, man. I
and
can't
watching
wait till we...
Joel just be like,
Yeah.
"Here, I have created everything that you wanted."
That's what I was going to say. First of all, we're not going to show you concept art for our characters yet, but I will tell you this. They rule.
Yeah,
That's it.
I'm
Concept
super
art-
excited when we can't for the day that we do show you.
Yeah, because I'm really, really, really happy with the concept art for the characters. Okay, where can we find you on Twitter?
Oh, yes. My Twitter handle is @Adarael, Adarael. That is the patron angel of Tuesday, which was one of my Shadowrun characters' handles.
Of
because he
course
thought,
it is.
this is the lamest handle I could possibly have.
I agree. Oh, I'm sorry. That was an outside voice. Okay.
There was a lot of depth to thinking out your Twitter
Yeah.
handle.
Oh, you guys haven't
Really?
done it.
I just use that everywhere.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, all right, fine. And Mike McCain, closing thoughts from you.
Battletechgame.com.
That's not a thought, that's a plug.
And can we find you on Twitter, or are you hiding?
Yeah, no, it's just M McCain, MMCCAIN. It's not as thought out as you can see.
It's Noah Dario,
He's
I'll
like,
tell you that much.
so it was the patron god.
somebody asked me that on Twitter, where did the handle come from? So I was like, I'll let you know. Bitter Shadowrunners.
Kayla, do you want to say your Twitter feed or do you want to say Hairbrained Schemes Twitter feed?
I am Hairbrained Schemes, which is We Be Hairbrained, and
At
I'm
We Be
also
Hairbrained, yeah.
the Brazen Head, which is Necropolis game.
Oh, you gotta check that
Necropolis
out.
_game.
Necropolisgame.com.
Yeah, I totally.
Necropolisgame.com.
I
And
totally
if you haven't
harass
seen it,
players
yeah.
and stuff.
If Battletech fans, if you haven't looked at necropolisgame.com, it has nothing whatsoever to do with Battletech except it's badass. So try that one.
I'm gonna go play Necropolis after I leave here.
So
and I'm super
am
excited.
I.
Maybe I'll be able to beat it.
I played to the end the other day. I was
Wait.
surprised.
You cheated to the end the other day.
I
Do
god
not.
moded my
Yeah,
way
okay, I
to
was
the
gonna say,
end.
I'm like, I doubt your commitment to playing
You know,
legitimately.
he's so passionate about it
I
because
am
last
going
time
to
we
win
played
the- I have never
multiplayer,
played- I have never
totally
won the
like
game.
killed him over and over and over again.
I haven't won the game. I've gotten to level 6, and I feel pretty good about it. My closing thoughts are we look forward to doing more of this with you, interacting with you all over the place, including BattletechGame.com. We're always interested in your questions and comments. Please go there. The dev team goes to Battletech Game all the time, game.com, to interact with you, talk to you, stuff like that.
Hang out.
And we'll answer any question. The answer may be no. But we'll answer them all as best we can. And you can find me at MitchGit on Twitter, MITCHGIT. And that is our show. Thank you very much. Live from Hyper RPG Studios, this is the Battletech video game Q&A with your friends from Hairbrained Schemes. And that's it. Please, Joe, take us out.
Does that mean shoot us?